So I'm going to ask three just questions, and then we'll open it up to the group. So number one, what is the biggest difference you have seen in your time in politics versus being at the DCPA?
Well, at the city, I had 1,500 cops that had guns and tasers. I don't have any guns and tasers as far as I know. No, and they're very emotional. They're so passionate about what they do. And so there's a lot, I was saying, to these two ladies here that, I rarely had tears in my office. And today somebody came in, so that's it. It's like, it was very businessy at the city and very intense. And yeah, so.
Okay. As a fourth-generation Coloradan, do you believe Colorado has lost contact with its roots, or are there things that are happening in our state that are of concern to you?
Thank you. That's a loaded question. I think there are efforts to stay close to our roots. I mean, I think a lot of the reimagining of the National Western Center, where we're really trying to hold on to our agricultural roots and make sure that we are a premier agriculture destination. But the things that scare me are planned growth. I'm totally pro-growth, but it has to be planned. Do we have enough water? Do we have enough infrastructure? Do we have safe roads? Do we have enough cops? Can we pay for school? I think, some of the fiscal challenges that we have at the State House are really going to have a profound impact on where we are in 10 or 20 years.
Great. You're a very rare person in that you have served, even though you have certain political beliefs, you've served in different environments. Do you believe that the political divide among the parties is worse today than when you first got involved in politics? And should it be healed in any way?
Absolutely. When I worked for Senator Allard, he and Senator Ben Nighthorse Campbell were the elected officials. And if you even go back generations before that, Tim Worth and Hank Brown and Bill Armstrong, and you just look at the people, they were tough on the issues and not on the individuals. They respected their differences, but they all believed that they all represented the people. And I think that the ideologues have kind of sucked the energy out of the room in a lot of ways, and that we don't sit down and who likes it, who doesn't like it, who needs to know, right? Not fast, all those things. And so I am very worried for the state of our country. And it can be brought back so that we are rowing in the same direction with all of us. I mean, this is where you have to vote. I was with Gary Stour, who runs the Bonfy Stanton Foundation, and we were talking about in Australia, it's mandatory that you vote. If you don't vote, you get fined. And we're so lucky that we have the right to vote. I mean, think of the Middle East or think of China. They don't vote. How lucky are we? So we have to participate in the process. There you go.
I agree. Love it. Let's open it up to the group. Who has questions? Yes.
Yes. First off, thank you very much for sharing this about your career. As an aspiring Republican and a career politician, hopefully, what are the words of advice you have for young people like us, especially if we're coming in more moderate than the party?
Yeah, that's a great question.
So Alberto's question is, as someone who aspires to maybe be involved in politics, what is your words of wisdom and advice?
So thank you for being willing to serve. That's about the hardest thing ever. So run and run hard and mean it. Ask questions, and it's okay to say I don't know, because you want it to be right, not fast. The other thing is work your way up the chain. Serve locally, serve a little higher, serve a little higher, serve a little higher. Take the time to make sure you know what you need to know in order to actually be a servant leader.
Great advice. What other questions we have? Yes, in the back.
Where do you see me?
The question is, where do you see yourself 5 years from now? Are you allowed to ask a lady that question or not? I mean, we'll do it. Okay, go ahead.
I think I should still be at the DCPA, I'm hoping. No, I have no idea. And I was talking to a couple of folks earlier. I do think about running for school board in Denver, even though I'm not married and I don't have children. I'm on the Denver Preschool Program Board. I'm on the UNC board. I started a nonprofit to bring business leaders to invest in early childhood. I think education is the foundation of everything, so I'm hoping I'm in this role, continuing to serve the 106,000 children that we serve at the DCPA. And if the voters think I'm a good person to run, maybe I should be on school board. The what?
His question is the elected positions.
Who are the elected leaders? Who you want me to run? Oh. Oh, for president, sure. I'll get right on that.
Take a note on that. Right, not fast. Remember, we have to think about these things. Kyle Forty in the back.
I so appreciated everything you had to say, and I'm just curious, just because you went there first and made it political. I'm curious to know why you think we often think of the arts as more of a liberal space as opposed to a conservative space, and if you see that changing at all in terms of the political dynamic, not only with direct party affiliation, but just like liberal versus conservative. You mentioned a lot of that, and I'm curious to see what you see in Denver and just nationwide on that.
So why are the arts often considered more of a liberal space versus a conservative space, and how do we address that dialogue on a national level?
Okay, so there are incredible leaders in our community that have given more to our arts institutions than anyone, but they're also very wealthy. If you look at Mr. Hamilton, who was he endowed the Hamilton building at the Denver Art Museum, or Mr. Ritchie, who I'm following, who, not only with higher ed, but with the cultural community has invested a lot of money, and those are very prominent, I would offer conservative Republicans. But when it comes to the landscape, I feel like a lot of the dialogue and discourse that's had on the stage can be edgy and kind of uncomfortable sometimes for people's moral values. So I'm not gonna lie, like Kinky Boots, it's a transvestite who is spending time with a guy that makes shoes, and they put their worlds together. And for some folks who have more conservative values, I think sometimes those things are tough and uncomfortable. But then there's another space for those folks. They may not be comfortable in that particular show, but it's being knowledgeable. And what else is happening? The symphony is very, it can be universal, but it may appeal to a certain type of demographic. And that's part of why this community work is so important, to figure out how do we make sure that there's access, affordability, and content that's attractive to everyone. So there's a place for everyone in the conversation. It's a loaded question, but it's a good one.
Good, thank you. What other questions do we have? Yes, Mike. What is it again? What are your favorite theater leadership? Okay, I thought you said theater son, and I'm like, I don't know theater son. I think of myself as well read on a good day. What are your favorite leadership books? Got it.
Yeah. My Sarah Palin moment, is that what this is? Like, what journals do you read? Well, no, I'm just kidding. And I love Sarah Palin, I'm just saying, that's right. Sorry. It's actually kind of funny. My favorite book, and it's not really a leadership book, is The Pillars of the Earth, which is really interesting because it's about how a community comes together and how you're building something, and the diversity that it takes to come together, all the different people, all the different hierarchies. I would say Bringing People With You is probably one of the most important books I've read. David Mirage, who used to own Hot Pockets, had given me that early on, and I've shared it over and over again. But it's really about building a culture with an open door, and all voices matter, but being a real deliberate leader when you need to go, that you know you can, and that the people follow. Yeah.
So the gentleman who just asked the question, Mike Pritchard, he's CFO of the CU Foundation. So if anybody wants to make a donation to CU, you can do so tonight. Okay, just thought to put that in there for you, that plug. What are the questions we have? Yes? So the question is, she loves the diversity that the DCPA is showing, and they're going to get some flack for some of that. And so what are the ones upcoming that may produce some of that?
So Disgraced, I don't know if many of you have followed it, but it's a really heavy story about a Muslim who lives in New York with